Good day, everyone. Welcome again. My name is Sophia Elizabeth Lambert. I am a published author of two books, Hope Deferred and Rise Up, Mentoring Boys to Become Men of Integrity. Today is the first in our season, and I have company. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Damien Marcus Williams. So, let me introduce you to him. Damien Williams is an experienced educator, community development expert, researcher, and evaluator. Over the past 15 years, he has worked with the EU, CDB, JAM Habitat, USAID, Global Affairs Canada, formerly CIDA, and IDB to enable these donors to achieve successful community development outcomes. His academic training in pedagogy, anthropology, psychology, sociology, and research methods has undergirded his understanding of the dynamics of human behavior. Mr. Williams, Mr. Williams's expertise in the use of participatory methodologies has been used to effectively engage, mobilize, and work with community stakeholders to assess social issues, reflect on what works and what does not work within their culture, and develop a vision and strategies for community renewal. Damon is also an author, facilitator, and speaker who has presented on issues such as education, international development, social justice, youth development, community development, social entrepreneurship, and leadership development. He's a voracious reader and passionate about his faith, serving as an elder at Ecclesia Bible Fellowship. And that sums up my guest for today. Welcome, Damien. I thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me, Sophia, and it's a pleasure being with you here today.
Thank you. So, we are here to discuss self image, or young men, from boys to young men, on self image. I know that in our world today, our young men struggle with developing a healthy self image. As a result, we see where they have used other things to
Yeah,
define themselves. Now, as our speaker for today, can you share with us what you believe, what is a healthy self image, as well as to share a bit of your journey to being healthy or
yes,
developing a healthy self image?
yeah. Self-image is basically how we see ourselves, and there are a number of things that impact on how we see ourselves. Where we grew up, the family we were born into, what our socioeconomic position is like,
Yes.
and all of those kinds of things we attach value to, and therefore value to ourselves. But part of developing a healthy self image is more about self awareness, knowing who you are at core. What is your character like? What are your values? And what is your belief system like? Because those are the things that really make you who you are and really add value to the world. I can tell you that my journey is at one where I finished school at 14 years. I graduated high school at 14 years old, not dropped out, graduated. People
Well,
would have considered me a genius. I was kind of smart. Um, but despite all of the academic achievements that I've had, there was still an emptiness inside. I still felt worthless because of neglect, because of abuse, because of how my skin looked, because I was dealing with a mental health disorder, bipolar disorder. So, and we all know the stigma attached to that. So I was way into my 30s and would have achieved a lot academically, which for some people spells success, but I did not see myself as good enough. It wasn't until I began to look at myself through the eyes of Scripture, Genesis, being created in the image and likeness of God, that I began to say to myself, that is my beginning, and therefore I am worthy. And having to affirm myself and speak to myself, that is where my validation came from. It came from here, knowing who I am and finding my identity in the I am. Right? So, right? So yes, you are
Yeah.
asking me about how can
How can we help our younger generation of
mhm.
men to develop a healthy sense of self?
Yes, I think we were talking earlier about how is it that we form attachment to material things, and
Right.
we add value to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
through those means. I think one of the things that we have to begin to do is to tell the truth among ourselves as men. Have truth telling. We're black people and we're from an oral tradition. And we from a lineage of people who told stories about liberty, about life, right? How the
Right.
older ones passed on to the younger ones
Mm-hmm.
about what really matters in life. You find that there are a lot of older young men who tell the stories about at the end of everything else, they found out that what really mattered was family. That there are people who tell you that they lost everything, and when they lost everything, they didn't know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to begin to tell young people the truth about what their value is attached to. We also have to stop the way we socialize children to
Mm-hmm.
believe that winning is the end all and be all of everything rather than the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So we do this. We reward people when they come first. You come first, you're getting this. You get an A, you're getting this. But we don't acknowledge the child
Yes.
who studied right through and still failed. We don't
Yeah.
applaud that child and say to the child, "Oh, you did well in your preparations.
Mm-hmm.
I commend your efforts. You really did try. What
Mm-hmm.
lesson did you learn from this? How could you do better next time?"
Right. Yes.
We demonize failure,
Mm-hmm.
and the winner takes all. So people begin to attach their value from very small to winning,
Yes.
to being on top,
Mm-hmm.
rather than for their character, rather than for their efforts. So it all begins with how it is we socialize and how it is we train and all of that.
That is true. When you mention about we demonize failure,
Mhm.
one of the things that I have learned is that there's greater value I have found when I have failed,
Okay.
when I have had to endure a journey of the processing to where I would like to be, but we have not quite grasped the importance of the journey.
Yeah.
The journey is often, I think, it teaches a greater value than getting to the destination, because often when we get to the destination, it's not as satisfying as we would like it to be or hoped it would be or expected it to be. So yes, we
Right.
need to rethink how
How many
we
posts do you see on social media? Um, oh, I dropped out of college today, or I I didn't get a degree, or so how many posts you see of that, or I my business failed today, but this is
Mhm.
what I learned.
I haven't seen many of those. The only
Yeah,
times I've seen where someone said that they fell out of school was as a part of a success story.
Ah, so you hear about Steve Jobs
Yes,
and Mark Zuckerberg. They dropped out of college, but look at them today.
right. Yes, that is it.
That is how we hear it. But there's always
Mhm.
something grander than the thing that they lost.
Right. Yes, that is what it is. I
But
unfortunately,
how has failure changed us to be better? How many stories do we hear of that? How has failure built resilience in me? What has failure taught me about how I treat people who do not
indeed,
appear to be winning at life? What did it reveal about myself?
yes, that is
These
true.
are the stories we need more of. And these are things that we need to teach the younger generation so that don't miss the value in failing. That
Yes,
failing doesn't make you a failure if you can extract from it the lessons.
indeed,
You're
yes,
wealthier and richer for the lessons.
indeed, and it also teaches. It helps to for them to learn that the importance of getting up again
Ah,
after you have fallen. It's okay, not a problem. The most important thing is to get up and to continue, not to stay at the place of failure, but to rise like the phoenix
yes,
out of the ashes, go
most
again.
definitely. Most
So
definitely.
even as we are discussing about the image, the self-image, the importance of our young men being having that healthy self-image, I once read an article of our boys to young men having their definition being formed as, in Jamaica we call it a gallus, or to have world of girls, because it is important for them to, it boosts their self-esteem,
Yes.
as well as studies have shown that our boys to young men and older men too will use, they'll pump iron, they will try to get bigger in order to appear as if all is well, to appear
Mm,
as if their self-esteem is secure, when in fact it's a camouflage
yeah. And
to
that's the thing. That's the thing. They didn't just learn it as they became adolescents. It's
Mhm.
what we continue to teach them from small about where validation comes from.
Right.
So to validate myself among my friends, I
Mhm.
need to have enough gal and gal in a bungle
Yeah.
to be seen as a gallist because my masculinity
Mhm.
is attached to that.
Yes, it is. Well,
Without considering what it says about character, that you would do that to so many women who
mhm.
each is thinking that you are committed to them and who are giving of themselves to you.
In the belief that he is committed to them.
Right. So what you're doing is that you are using someone else
Mhm. For the
to fill a
validation.
void in your own life,
Mhm.
to make you feel good about yourself when that is your responsibility and not somebody else's.
Mhm.
So, at the expense of having other people clap you, you are minusing from yourself, from your
Mhm.
character.
Mhm. Mhm.
Think about if you are writing your own eulogy from the truth that you know about your behavior and your character, what that will look
Mhm.
like.
Yes. For many of them, it would be a sad story.
For a very sad story. A very sad story.
It would be. But I mean, we're not really bashing our young men,
Oh, no,
because
no, 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 no.
the
That is
truth
where we
is,
have come from. It's a
yes.
kind of misguided kind of um way to approach life, but it's no
Mm-hmm.
fault to theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Society has
It
created
is.
the fertile ground for those kinds of perceptions to flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And we have not done well in fortifying our young people.
Yes.
Frederick Douglass says that if we take the time to
Mm-hmm.
grow healthy children, we
Mm-hmm.
won't have to mend broken adults.
I like that quote. That is true,
Yeah.
and that is where it is. That is where it is. I believe that if we can reach our youth today, reach our young men today, it will save a lot. I mean, when we
Yeah.
look at the news, we can see that there are a lot of mending that should have taken place from they were younger, in order
Mhm.
for them to have to in their older lives to make better choices, wiser decisions, um, which had only destroyed their lives in
Yeah.
adulthood. It had caused just a mess of not just their life, but their families, their friends, the impact on their society and communities. So we need to really start at the beginning. Start
Yeah.
when the tree is young, so to speak. Start when the baby is in the cradle. There's someone I know who, from his, he has sons. So from his sons were young, he kept calling them men of valor, men
Hmm.
of integrity. He spoke value into their lives. And every day he would wake them up, and that is what he would say to them. And I have seen where over the years, those young men have become men of integrity. From they were
Yeah.
in their teenage years, you could see the fruit of
We
those.
don't understand the power of words and affirmation.
Yes.
And I tell you, my mindset changed about how I viewed myself, Sophia. Because
Mm-hmm.
with all of the accomplishments, I
Mm-hmm.
did not have a positive self image. It
Mm-hmm.
changed when I began to speak audibly,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
audibly over
Yes.
myself and
Yes.
say to myself, I'm worthy. So that word, those words could get into my consciousness and
Mm-hmm.
begin to change my mind. Words have creative power. When we
Yes.
talk about created in the image and likeness of God, God said, let there be, and there was. His
Indeed.
words created things.
Yes.
And
It
our
does.
words create our realities. Our words are a declaration of our faith,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
especially when we speak our words in alignment to what God says about who we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So you are right. Speaking it from early, and that gentleman who began to speak into his children's life from then, they heard it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no other way for them to believe who they were. That is
Yes.
how they formed their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it
Yes.
didn't matter the geography, it didn't matter the socioeconomic location.
Mm-hmm.
The words about who they were, their character,
Mm-hmm.
and where the value was, that is
Mm-hmm.
what they grew up with.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is where value was for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you say now, you see what you see now
Yes.
is what was is a seed that was planted from then.
Mm,
And
yes.
so there is where we have to start raising healthy children
Mm-hmm.
because the mending broken adults is a harder task.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
One preacher said that it's easier to give birth than to raise the dead.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. And so we're just starting from the cradle. It's
Indeed.
easier than trying to resurrect the dead and trying to teach it new
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, Marcus, we have a few minutes to go. So
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, as a man, to speak life into some of our young men,
Mhm.
who may see this, whether in the near future or in the future to come, in the
Mhm.
distant future, to speak into their life the things that you know that they would like to hear. Oftentimes, we are not told how good we are.
Yeah.
We're not affirmed. We're not
Yeah.
spoken highly of growing up. You tend to hear the curse words, or you tend to hear what you're not or what you're not doing, but they don't hear the validation.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, let's say in the next few minutes, to just validate our young men so that they can hear it and and plant that seed within them,
Yes.
them to
Three
thrive.
words changed my life. Three words changed my life. I am worthy. And I
Mm,
use I am in capital letters because I am reminds me that I am found in the I am. And my
yes.
identity comes from Him. And because of that, I have worth. And I want to tell you that you are worthy. The fact that you were born, the fact that you're here means that your life has significance, it has meaning, it has value, and it has purpose. In fact, you are purpose embodied. And so, because of that, know that every experience that you have had, whether good or bad, is part of the unfolding of your life's purpose. None of your experiences are wasted. You are the one who must take them, transform them, and use your story to add value to the lives of others. Don't hide away in shame because there is nothing to be ashamed of. Your life and your steps are ordered. It's already written. And I like this verse in Jeremiah 29:11 that says that God knows the plans that He has for you. They're good, not evil plans, to give you a future and an expected end. Your end is already glorious. Walk in the direction of a glorious end. Again, you are worthy.
Thank you, my friend. It
Thank
was
you for
good to
having
have
me.
you. I
Yes.
I really appreciate the fact that you're able to take the time out for this discussion.
No
I
problem at all. It was a pleasure joining you.
thank you. So I want to tell you thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. It was a pleasure having company with me today in Mr. Damien Williams. And please check out his book. Damien, where can they find your book?
Oh, my book, Grab You Some Lemons. It's available at www dot Damien, Damien, M Williams dot co.
Great.
Yes.
So there you have it. Go and get some lemons so that you can hear a lot more of what Damien has to
Uh,
offer. You can
or they
see.
can follow me on Instagram. There's a link straight from my bio
Mhm.
to the book, and it's Damien M. Williams, like they would
Oh,
see on the screen.
great. So follow him. Follow him. And thank you again for watching. Please stay tuned to the next video, as well as please like and subscribe. Have a great day. The Lord bless you and keep you. Take care.